So first, let's address the elephant in the room, which is the misinformation. That's the difference between the immigration problem that is within Canada or in other countries like in US or Europe. How her friend was kind of harassed while going for a walk in Brampton. If it is so apparent that some of our Indians have also started to point out, then imagine what the Canadians would be feeling. And if it's pinching us to add that 15-20% over the top, we may go out one less time. Hi Cainds, welcome back to our channel BeCaind. My name is Shrey, and in this video we'll be talking about the rising hatred and racism towards Indians in Canada. Do Indians really deserve it?
Don't follow me. I didn't say anything to you. Hey, back up. Look at that. Look at that.
A month ago, I made a video about increasing hatred towards Indians by a specific population in Canada. That video has gotten a lot of comments, especially from the Canadian community, and you can see that a lot of comments are full of hatred where they're talking about deportation, and some comments were so bad that they were not even shown by YouTube and they were filtered out, so I only had access to them, but some of them were really mean. But before we start the video, guys, please hit that subscribe button in case you haven't subscribed. Almost 90% of the viewers watching our videos have not subscribed to the channel, which really affects YouTube's algorithm of taking the videos beyond our audience. So please hit that subscribe button. It will ensure that the videos are reaching to the right people and we will continue to bring out quality content for you. So now let's start the video. So this issue of increasing hatred is definitely true, and you can go and read the comments to see what are some of the people that are saying. I in fact was the first Indian creator that I could find that made a video on this topic. After that, a lot of popular creators in the YouTube community of Indians living in Canada have made a video on this, and all of them are talking about this increase in the negative sentiment towards Indians living in Canada. And to be honest, it's not surprising because even Indians have noticed that there is an increased level of immigration in the last few years. There are so many places that when we go to, it doesn't even feel like we are living in Canada. It feels like any other city in India. So I can totally understand their perspective where they are used to seeing a different Canada from many years ago, and things look really different now. But to put the blame of this increasing immigration on the immigrants themselves, I don't think is fair, because most of the immigrants that have come to Canada have come through legal channels. That's the difference between the immigration problem that is within Canada or in other countries like in US or Europe. There is a lot of immigrants landing to the European shores, coming in from poorer countries, or a lot of Mexicans crossing the border to enter US, but those are illegal migrants. But in Canada, everybody that has come, or most of the people that have come to Canada that you see on the road, are legal migrants that have come through channels created by the government of Canada and who were backed by the people of Canada, right? They voted for this government and the government made the policies which brought all the people here. So to put the blame of job losses or economy on immigrants is not fair. And there is also an increasing sense of negative perception that is being spread by some people, and also I think there is a whole propaganda behind it as there are elections coming up. A lot of the videos that are coming out are also fake and they are used to spread hatred towards Indians. That is true. So recently there was an issue that came out that Indians were seen pooping on the beach of Wasaga. That video by a local Canadian went viral on TikTok and garnered the attention of millions of Canadians, which was widely shared. Then the mayor of that town of Wasaga came out and said that this information is not true. They haven't gotten any evidence. And in fact, the initial video that was shared out also was without any videos or proofs. So I'm not sure how much truth there is to this story, but in essence, what I can say, there is definitely some truth to the negativity being spread about Indians, and this is what we are going to discuss in this video today. So first, let's address the elephant in the room, which is the misinformation. There's no denying that some of the issues that are being spread out are purely false and they are just to spread a negative propaganda. They are simply being shared to fuel agendas and to stir up trouble between two communities. But then at the end of the day, it's also essential to differentiate the truth with the misinformation. And there are some legitimate concerns which I think as a community of Indians living in Canada, we need to address, because those are true. So let's look at some of these genuine concerns which I could find not just from the comment section on my video, but also in general while browsing through Reddit or Twitter. These are some common issues that have been shared, and I think they are so genuine that everybody would benefit if these issues did not happen. So the first issue is lack of hygiene and smell. So even if I assume that the Wasaga Beach issue is false, but still there are many other videos that we have seen where Indians have not particularly been the most hygienic people. So let's look at this video, which was made by a fellow Indian after a mela in Brampton.
ਵੇਖੋ ਜੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਦ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਤੇ ਲਾਇਆ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਵੇਖੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਸਵਾਦ ਆਪਣੇ ਤੇ ਛੱਡ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਖਲੋਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੋ ਆਣ ਡਈ ਕੰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ.
So as you can see, the lack of civic duty that we as a community display not just shows poorly on that specific individual, but it brings a negative perception to the entire community. And if it is so apparent that some of our Indians have also started to point out, then imagine what the Canadians would be feeling. So I think it's a no-brainer that when we have moved to Canada, it is such a beautiful country that we have moved in. Everything on the road is clean. All the parks that we go to, there is no trash. So it is also our duty as model immigrants to continue that culture and to take it a step ahead, not a step behind. I know that India is not the cleanest of countries. There is a lot of trash when we go and visit India, but that's what we left behind. When we moved to Canada, those are the things that attracted us in Canada, and now it's our duty to take it one step ahead and, you know, ensure that whenever we are leaving our surroundings, it's better than how we found it. So pick up your trash. There are ample trash bags and garbage bins available everywhere. Even if it's not available, put it back in your bag so that you can throw it when you go back home. But please don't spread litter in our surroundings. It affects us, and it also affects the negative perception. The second thing is about smell. And to be honest, even I wasn't aware about this issue, and it only became apparent when I moved to Canada. Because our food and our way of cooking, I think, is very different than what people are used to here. Because we put all the spices together and there is a tadka that we do in our dishes. That smell permeates our clothes, and when we wear the same clothes when we go out, people can instantly smell that, and sometimes they feel even nauseous. So when you are living in an Indian household, that smell seems natural to you, you know, then you will feel okay that I'm not smelling. But for somebody coming in from outside, they will instantly feel that. And because we have moved to Canada, it is our duty to assimilate into their culture. Okay, we can't expect them to be a part of our culture. Few simple things that I think can help with this issue is, first of all, whenever you are cooking, open your doors and windows to ensure that smell can go out. In fact, I wasn't aware about this issue, so Kriti, because she has lived in the US for 5 years, she always used to cook with open doors and windows, and I used to ask her, why are you doing that? We have a chimney already and it is cold. But she used to say that the smell still is in the room, so opening of doors and windows helps to take that smell out. Also, close your bedroom door, close your closet when you're cooking so that the smell doesn't go in your clothes, and change your clothes if you've had your meal before going out, or take a shower. And the last thing is use a deodorant. I purchased one for $2 at Dollarama, so it's not an expensive thing to do. I think it's just something that doesn't come naturally to us, because in India the use of deodorants and perfumes, it's still not very common, and people would only use it when they're going to like a party. But here, ensure that you're using it every day, and even if you're allergic to, say, a deodorant, there are also neutral perspirants that you can get, or roll-on sticks that you can use to ensure that smell doesn't go out. So these are some simple tricks that we can use to ensure that we don't cause discomfort to our fellow Canadians who may not be used to that smell. The second aspect that I want to talk about is personal space and behavior. So recently I was watching a video by a popular YouTube creator called Sandy Talks Canada, where she talks about how her friend was kind of harassed while going for a walk in Brampton, and there were some desi boys in a car honking at her friend and creating discomfort for her. And she said that I thought that we had left all these things back in India, but these things are also coming back in Canada, which doesn't reflect very good on us as a society. Imagine if an Indian girl is being threatened and harassed here, what would happen to the local Canadians? And even if it's a very, very small proportion of people doing that, the perception then carries a halo effect and it goes on to the society at large. The second thing is something that I have seen very common in, if we are in a public space, playing loud music, for example, or talking on the phone loudly. These are things that are very, very common back in India. It's not uncommon for people to play loud music in their cars when they're going out for gadies or talking on the phone, because that's a culture in India. But here, so when you are outside in a public space, ensure that you are displaying your best behavior and beyond. Because like I said, there is already a negative perception towards Indians already, and we have to take that one step and beyond so that we can improve our image, and it's to our own benefit if that image is improved, because ultimately we have to live in Canada. Everybody that has moved here on a PR, or most of the students, they have moved here with the intention of settling in Canada. So if you're settling in Canada, we have to create an atmosphere which is helpful and cooperative for us as well as the locals who have been living here. So it is in our best interest to display our best behavior and adapt to local customs and show respect for others' personal space. The third thing which I think we can do is assimilation and cultural integration. When we have moved to Canada, it is not that we will leave behind our values as Indians or our religious customs. We will continue to follow that. But when we have moved to a different country, it is also natural for us to integrate and assimilate in their culture. So some of the things that we can do, for example, is take part in Canadian festivals and sport occasions. So recently there was the NHL final between Edmonton Oilers and I think a team from Florida. So I don't know how many Indians followed that event, but for Canadians it was a big deal because after many years a Canadian team was in the NHL final. So these are the things which we can do to take part and contribute to the Canadian culture. Watching Super League, for example, or trying events that Canadians are really known for, like skiing or ice skating. If we do these things, we'll be able to communicate with our colleagues much better, and we'll also understand what being Canadian truly feels like. Engaging with local traditions and customs will show Canadians that Indians are willing to contribute to be a part of the society and the community at large, and it will also help reduce the feeling of alienation or resentment which is very popular towards Indians at the moment. The next issue that I want to talk about is respecting high trust society. Canada is known for its high trust society where people expect others to act with integrity. You would all remember that issue that came out a few months back where an Indian YouTuber had put out a video of getting food from food banks, and he was making a video on how you can use that as a trick to save money. That video became so viral and it created a negative perception that Indians steal from food banks which are meant for people who are really below the means and they don't have any other means to survive. But that YouTuber made it seem like he was saving money by getting food from the food banks. It's not that every Indian goes out to the food bank and gets the food from there, but when such a video becomes popular, it casts a negative shadow to the entire community at large. Also, some aspects of a high trust society are respecting everybody else's profession and recognizing some way things are done here. For example, tipping is a very common culture in North America, and it is not at all common to this extent back in India. So when we moved here, it pinched us a lot that we were adding 15 to 20% on top whenever we used to go out to restaurants to tip. But then we realized that that's how things are done here, and because we have moved to Canada, we have to take all the customs as is. We can't change the way things have been done here for so many decades. So then we started tipping, and I don't know how many people from our community still do that, but it's expected of people in Canada to do that. So might as well we will follow it, and if it's pinching us to add that 15-20% over the top, we may go out one less time. So instead of going out 5 times in a month, let's go out 4 times, but ensure that we maintain the standards that a high trust society in Canada has, and we should contribute to it as well. The last issue is maintaining quality standards. So I've seen a lot of people on Reddit talk about it, that the quality of food or coffee that they have in Tim Hortons has gone down. So I think there is a perception that Tim Hortons only employs Indians, and if there is a quality issue anywhere in Tim Hortons, that blame comes on Indians at large, which I think is not true. But whenever we see that there are instances of quality not being maintained, it's our job to ensure that we do that, not just through our jobs but in otherwise in our actions as well. So let's not be penny wise pound foolish. Let's not save a few bucks by cutting corners, which would impact us in a much bigger way through reputation. Right now everybody has a camera, so anytime any instance is done, it becomes viral on Twitter, Reddit, TikTok almost instantly. In the end, so do Indians deserve the hate? No, not at all, because we have come here as legal immigrants and we are working and paying taxes to the government of Canada. But it is our duty to be a part of the society at large by assimilating in the culture much more than we have done in the past. So we have to be model immigrants. I think in the US, Indians are known as one of the best immigrant societies to live for, and they are the highest earning ones as well. We should try to achieve that in Canada as well. So it's important that we improve where we can, but we also fight this misinformation and fake news battle which is going on to ensure that this perception of negativity towards Indians is shut down very quickly and it doesn't become a burning issue which we then start seeing in real life as well. Right now the issue is still contained in social media, but we don't want this issue to rise up, that it starts clashing in the real life. So let's try to do our best what we can do, and I think in the end it will help both Indians living in Canada and Canada as a society at large as well. If in case you have any ideas on how we can improve as a community living here, or how we can take part in local Canadian initiatives, please do mention it in the comments. And in case you think I missed out on any point, please suggest in the comments as well. So that was the intent of this video. Hope you liked it. In case you liked it, please do subscribe to the channel. It will mean a lot to us, and we will continue to bring out content which impacts all the kinds living in Canada. Thank you and goodbye.